for as long as
wait a second.
possible.
You're talking right now.
I'm going to let you run your meeting, and then I'll interrupt when I'm bored. So take it away.
Okay.
So, like a board meeting.
Like a board meeting.
All right.
Yeah, keep in mind, this in part 2, it is a table full of all guys, and they made a dick joke and a reference to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We are back on a level that I don't know if we've ever been back at before.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we normally go around the table, say what do we get done this week.
Seems pretty simple.
Sure. No, we start with you.
Sure. So actually, a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything.
Yeah.
There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us. They found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out state.
You don't have to be a witch to find the magic in this world, but it does help.
I couldn't make this shit up. No, it's the federal government.
Museums, etc. And so the one change that Doge made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, nobody drew down any money anymore.
There is no reason to be afraid of my magic.
If you take the money, you have to show where it's going. Whoa!
It'll be coming in 30 seconds.
Wait a minute.
Stay strong.
Wait a minute. Crazy how that works? That was easy. Damn.
I hate these
But we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. Anything.
Just an image file.
But as soon as we asked for anything at all,
The battle starts in 5.
suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore.
3,
Huh,
2,
that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
It's not
You have to
interesting,
stop
it's obvious.
securing the mission area.
Yes, they're like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
It's always nice to have a couple of
Who? Caesar's Palace has to have transactions. They have to have received money. It had to have been by a person. They need to check IDs because it's probably a casino.
This should help me heal.
Let's find out who it is. And then we put him in jail. It's simple. Step 1, you figure it out. Step 2, put him in jail. Problem solved. It's easy. It's a shell company? It doesn't matter if it's a shell company. A person still has to come into that building. The person that came into that building is probably a government employee.
A disappearing.
Or they know a government employee. Figure out who
You
that
need to
is.
stop that vehicle in its
The
tracks.
shell company idea. How long do you think it would take these fucking
My
like
fate
these
isn't sealed
gamers
yet.
to figure out the shell company thing? How long do you think it would really take them?
I'll be back in action soon.
About 7 to 12 minutes. So shell companies, I know about this.
Better stop that
It
vehicle.
only makes the process harder to find. It's not like it's impossible, it just takes longer.
Leasing stadiums.
Leasing stadiums.
Stop them.
For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing,
That's a
you'd
lot of illegal immigrants.
start small.
They do start but then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they
Yep.
try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud,
See, because this is what drug dealers do. I've had so many friends that do this exact thing. They play it safe, they play it clean, they stay inside the boundaries, and then as soon as they start going outside of their box, now they're taking a 3-year vacation. Yep.
more crazy. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums. I like it.
What's the to rent out a stadium?
Fraud, infragantes electos, okay? We're talking at scale.
This is driving me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
When you find these things, do you guys get mad? You're like, yes, I got one. How does
Reborn from the
How does it
chaos.
make you feel?
It's now or never. Stop now.
I mean, you just get numb to it. Like, unfortunately,
They don't even care anymore. It's like, oh wow, we saved another $1 billion. Okay, well, there's another one. Yeah.
the 100th time you've heard it, you can't remember. You know, like,
I don't know where that's happening. See, that's the way I feel. I'm very, you know that's the way I feel about it, too.
and by the 200th time, you're like, well, okay, it's just another day at the office.
We checked, is the Small Business Administration giving loans to dead people over the age of 120? The answer was yes, and it was around $330 million in total. So
People with their birthdays that could not actually be real.
Yeah.
Meaning they're over 100, they're 115 years old or older. The oldest living American is 114. So it's safe to say if anybody is in the system as 115 years or older, that's it.
Just by sharing a database and looking at social security numbers, that showed that at the time of the loan, it listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18. Under 11 years old. That's pretty crazy.
Maybe that people who are getting off.
That was
So
660.
this is the reason why they didn't want computers, because you know how fast it would take to make a computer search function that could do that? About a minute.
With the amazing Spider-Man!
Yeah. That's the reason why they don't like computers.
$8 million.
And also people with birthdays in the future.
What does that mean?
Well, in one case, I mean, I think the birth date, I think in one case is like
Fetuses?
from the
We're getting
chaos.
No, not even. No, really sort of a you're talking about like your great grandchildren. Like with the birth date, like I think it was like 2165. So more than a century from now was the birth.
You are under my spell.
Oh, God.
Goodbye.
Is this real? Anybody who thinks this isn't real is naive.
Feeling stronger already.
I think that this is probably way worse. And they're not even, they're showing the tip of the iceberg, but they're not talking about the really big ones, because that's one thing that they're probably like working overtime at.
Birthday.
George Jetson was getting
Yes, because your birthday is in the future, like the far future, not like next year. And we either this is really fraudulent, or we have your birthday wrong. One of
either a
the
typo or someone stealing.
Well, if it's 2165, that's two wrong numbers. I would understand if it was like 21 and 05, right? And it meant to be 2005. Okay, sure, right? Mistakes happen. 2165? I don't know about that.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You can at least
Well,
Ask.
who's next?
Which is it?
do you guys feel you're getting justice and accountability?
The extreme examples of non-accountability in some cases is
Yeah, no, you're not, because they're not in jail. That's exactly right. No, just tell the truth. No, we're not. How many people have we got? Nobody. Yeah, and they don't want to say that because it's gonna make the make everybody sound right, right?
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
has occurred as with a small increase.
Can you imagine like how upsetting this must be for all of the federal worker Karens that these three frat boys are just all of the federal government, NGO enjoyers, and they're just getting absolutely fucking roached out, man. Yeah, playing the game, getting owned by kids, yeah. And like these are the same people that like they can't figure out how a smartphone works, and they think that they're gonna figure it out over these guys. No, you're done. You're done, bro. Pack it the fuck up.
occurred as another small agency. I think the Inter-American Foundation, IAM, is one of the agencies we visited where, they get $50 million a year, congressional money, to give grants. These are things like alpaca farming in Peru, improving them. Yes, that's the real description. Improving the marketability.
Alpaca farming in Peru? Where are they? Where are the alpacas?
Follow the enemy.
I ain't seen any of them.
I like the cold.
Where the hell are they?
A disappearing.
They're in Peru? But you can't even see it? Why not? Maybe they don't exist. How much of that money, here's the question, how much of that money do you think is really going to helping alpacas? I would say at best 5% of the alpacas.
My work here is not done.
Go to Peru to see them? I'd love to go to Peru, honestly.
Of peace in Guatemala.
Really?
Wait, what?
Improving the marketability. Improving them. Yes, that's the real description. Improving the marketability of peace.
Marketability of peas in Guatemala. This is like when somebody posts a picture of them getting their PhD, and somebody looks up what their PhD paper was about, and it's about
Reborn
like
from the chaos.
why dogs fart or something like that.
Don't
Or
mess
it's
with
like
the
some
amazing
social issue.
Spider-Man.
It's like why men don't want to look you in the eyes or something. Like just some bullshit.
Mala.
Really?
Fruit jam. So you might expect, in the private sector, a nonprofit to give 80 to 90% of their money to grantees. In the case of IAF, that was 58%. So the other half goes towards management, travel.
What would define success?
They got this shit locked in.
Don't mess with the amazing
the federal government
Spider-Man.
is paying for a luxury lifestyle for these roaches. That's it. Do you think some of this stuff is actually CIA black ops off the book stuff getting the money? No. I think that they probably did discover that, and they're probably not talking about it because they probably got a call. They're like, oh no, yeah, we know this looks like bullshit, but there's actually a reason. We're gonna Donald Trump will tell you, and it'll be fine, right? Like, yeah. So there probably are examples of that, but they probably they're not talking about them. So yeah, for sure. And like, if I was the government, if I was the CIA, that's what I would do too.
Example is that even if you agree with supporting alpaca farmers in Peru,
Reborn from the chaos.
well, actually, most of the money never made it out of DC.
My friends are here!
Who could have guessed?
Well,
Can you believe that?
can't expect to win them all.
What? I knew it. So why are we paying taxes? So a bunch of lazy Karens that do nothing can live like they are some sort of pseudo bourgeoisie of the government. That's why. And so they can funnel money to their friends and fund luxury lifestyles.
It's going into the pockets of people in the neighborhood.
What
And
percentage
they didn't even
of
get to Peru.
right? So what percentage do you think
Well,
does?
whose
you wanna meet
pocket?
today?
How do you know? Why aren't they in jail? Why aren't they being convicted? If you know what's going into their pocket, that means that you probably pulled their tax files. Where are the charges?
Be wary. No timeline exists where Magneto yields.
Now,
Doesn't
who
even
am I gonna
get
banish
to
from this
the
match?
destination it's supposed to.
I believe the GAO estimates, this is not our estimate, I believe it was
5%?
on the order of only 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually gets to the end recipient. Whether you agree with that cause or
Bro, these alpacas are getting scammed. That's insane. Not even, yeah, the Peruvian alpacas aren't even getting the money.
not.
So they're just stealing the money before it
Yes.
even gets anywhere.
There's layers of stealing.
Somebody says the criminal prosecutions are extremely slow. Speed it up. Speed it up. Figure out why it's slow and make it faster. Yeah, I wonder why. Do you want to know
You'll need
why
a
they're so
top-notch
slow?
team to win this
It's
one.
because
You
these
don't have
people
to be a
create an
witch to find the
apparatus
magic in this
that
world.
is so big
does
that
help.
it constantly collapses under its own weight, so it simply cannot move. It is designed that way on purpose. Fix the system then.
So there's the first layer of stealing, second layer of stealing, third layer of stealing.
Subcontractor,
You start peeling the onion. Yeah, exactly. Contractor, subcontractor. It's like peeling an onion. And then maybe, and sometimes it's zero. It's just flat. You get to the bottom of the onion. There's nothing there.
Survives this
So maybe no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
No one gets any. How much money did the alpacas
Every
get?
time I see
Nothing.
you, I think to myself, as long as Spider-Man is still around, everything will be all right.
Sometimes it's just zero. Give me a
I don't
second.
mean it that way. You just mean a
Oh
lot to a
God.
lot of people.
Just speed it up. Yeah, this is outrageous, man. It's crazy. Okay.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3.
This is unbelievable.
2, 1.
What do you mean, alpacas?
All you need to do is capture the mission area.
What
Got
alpacas?
it?
Here, you're gonna meet us at Caesar's Palace?
Far more times than weapons. Even so, it's always nice to
Guatemala.
It's possible that no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
I overheard a contractor tell one of her colleagues to falsify billable hours by creating a PowerPoint to mask a delay in the onboarding process.
Ah, that's better.
This is peak bureaucratic
Not going
Karen.
anywhere.
Like, this is it. Yes. Arrest. Yeah, put them in jail. You want to make a PowerPoint? No, you're going to jail.
In front of me, and this is like hour 0 at this agency. And so, I mean, this is just a common theme that you take a look at these contracts, you take a look at these grants, and it's veiled in noble rhetoric. You know, it's at the top level. It's like,
Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And then you actually just follow what is the
This is why I never believed that. Oh, he's shutting down cancer funding research. Oh, really? For sure. Uh-huh.
My work here is
is actually doing.
Or send us a picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Send us a picture.
Yes,
of-
we need a proof of life of these alpacas. Show me their coats of fur now versus 6 months ago. I want to see the improvement. Oh, no improvement? Okay, no more money.
goodbye.
That roast fest is incredibly good. Like Pixar didn't have it.
Yeah.
And then like, and it wouldn't be that hard to just, frankly, they could just export some fake pics on the internet or get AI to generate the pics, but they don't even bother doing that.
You caught them cold billing fraud.
oh, I caught them for advising a colleague to do this because it takes
The reason why they're not doing that is because it shows their hand. They're not going to openly commit fraud. They're just going to passively take advantage to. They're not going to break another hole in the wall. They're just going to find a door that's already been left open. Because it's soft fraud. They don't want to commit
They
real
won't make the
hard
same
fraud.
mistakes again.
few days to onboard. So that is being investigated.
It'd be
right
too
now.
easy to
Yeah, I
figure
mean,
out.
generally, like these programs, these grants are going to be like along lines of Save the Baby Pandas. And it's like,
Exactly. See, there it is.
That's better.
A bunch of populist nonsense. Let's take away the attention of the American people, make them focus on the 0.001% on the U.S. budget that went to alpaca farming, still waiting on Doge bombs to audit the Department of Defense.
You get away with it.
I think you know a great I think you do.
Ready to put on a show.
I think that when you start playing Elden Ring, you don't start with Millennium. You start with the Tree Sentinel, you work your way up to target, you kill goblins, and you have to level up. The fact is that the last boss, the fucking Shadow of the Erd Tree, Radon, Consort Radon Prime, is the fucking military, okay? They've got to be locked in. Their process has to be locked in. Everything has to be perfect. So this is this is them grinding for experience, okay?
of course, who wouldn't want to save the baby pandas?
Of course.
And you know,
Down to
in some
30
cases
seconds.
they've got a show panda, which they will try out for special occasions. In a lot of cases, they don't even have a show panda. No pet.
This is so stupid.
There's not even one panda. Because we asked for vectors. And
They asked, wait,
The final 10 seconds.
we don't even get one panda. And it's like, well, that's a lot of, what does $1 billion get you? Does it not even get you one panda?
You really want to see a baby panda?
Yeah.
The current score is 0-0.
yeah.
Time to switch
Yeah,
things
exactly.
up, including which side you're on.
Well, like the Ebola money, we're like, okay, well, we agree with,
Don't
we
have to
shouldn't
be
have
a
Ebola,
witch to find the magic.
The
Where's
right
the money
heroes could
going?
make all
It's
the
going to
difference.
Deloitte and BC. Like,
No
what is an accounting firm doing with Ebola money?
What has been the biggest resistance? Is there one agency, is there one department that when you guys walk in, they all start
Ask him. Bro, look at his head.
Round 2.
He knows.
I fought for mutant kind's
walk in,
Our time
they all
has finally
start
arrived.
fighting you, start hiding
Wait, I thought you weren't going to
things?
talk.
I'm sorry.
We'll be coming in 30 seconds.
I guess
Stay
you can answer
strong.
that question. Sure. I mean, let's
See, Elon did a very, very good strategy. I do this a lot too. We're not going to say the department. Everybody in this room knows the department,
I can work with that. Wait, is it?
but we're going to interrupt this. We're going to make it funny. Let's move on.
The battle
we've
starts
certainly
in
had some
5,
battles.
4,
Yeah.
3,
Right.
2,
Right.
I mean,
1.
who should talk about
You
USAID?
have to stop them from securing the mission area.
There's an agency, a small agency called the United States Institute of Peace. There's definitely
They actually let him. They're actually going to let him cook.
Oh, here they are now.
Oh boy.
the agency we had the most right at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
So the Alpaca Foundation doesn't help alpacas. The COVID Foundation pays for Caesar's Palace. The Panda Foundation doesn't have any pandas in it. They don't have a show panda. You need them. And the Institute of Peace is full of a bunch of loaded guns. You're welcome. Oh my God.
Tandy needs help.
Where is this coming from?
I mean, any given company, any given organization has the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban.
Final score.
This is real. We don't encounter that in most agencies.
Yeah.
What was
So this was the Institute of Peace had a contract with the Taliban?
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
That's interesting. Who did that? Because I feel like what we really need them to do is we need them to call in the people that did this, record the interviews with them, and then post the interviews. You are a federal employee. You are accountable to the taxpayer. I am very much a taxpayer, and I want a little bit of accountability for this. I want to see him explain it.
the money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic
I
services.
thought it was a Twitch streamer.
And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
Was it for opium
unclear.
or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
Interesting time to interrupt them.
Or abroad?
Or yeah, nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies.
No, he's making a joke.
Today there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we
See,
found
this
all
is
of
the kind of stuff that like you'll read on Twitter. Trump would want to get rid of all the wars, but he got rid of the Institute of Peace. Well, what do? They give money to the Taliban. Just so fucking. Are these guys geniuses? Yes, bro. Yeah, these guys are smart, but I don't think you even really need to be that smart to figure this out. It's easy. Come on, Asmon, are you pretending? Well, I mean, are you one of the people that believes this stuff? No. Don't you know peacekeepers are most well equipped? So I'll read your comments just for a second, okay? We got other stuff to do. Make sure we don't get a dictatorship. You keep rehiring the people you fired by mistake. Guys, Harvard, by the way, okay, so I want you to just keep this in mind. You're making fun of the intelligence of these people that are in the White House that have been personally handpicked by the richest man in the world that are working directly underneath the president's discretion. And this is a kid that got accepted into Harvard, okay? And like, I don't know, I guess I can say this. He did it on hard mode. He's an Asian guy, okay? That's hard mode to get accepted into a fucking university if any of the leaks are true. And you're gonna go and tell me that he's the one that's dumb while you're spamming in my chat with caps lock? You're done. I don't even know what the fuck your name is, but you're done. We've had enough of you. See you tomorrow with your new account.
The craziness, like the
idiot
weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Oh yeah.
So just
try to hide the evidence.
Right, so just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question,
how convenient.
well, why would somebody
And
do
also
that?
keep in mind, 1 terabyte, we're not talking about a terabyte of Call of Duty, okay? A terabyte of files, of numbers.
The Doge team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace.
You mean, they were able to recover it by doing the easy thing that literally anybody can do by just going inside of that fucking registry thing? Like, I've done this myself. I knew how to recover files 10 years ago. Actually, you know what they probably did? Here's what they probably did. So they probably went into the recycling bin and they're like, okay, fraudulent documents. Okay, let's go ahead and restore all of the... Okay, we found them. Restore. Oh no!
Which hero do you think you want to be
How
today?
did they do this?
And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to
There are even there are I don't know about now, but I know that like back in the
Who am I
day,
gonna banish from this
in order to
match?
fully erase something off of a drive, you need specialized tools to do that. And in order to recover it, you also need a specialized tool, but both of them are available for free. Yeah, you can a file share. No, it's more complicated than that.
Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight, and that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies, and this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yeah.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
This is a joke. Yep. Show is.
Right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one, yes, a cover up.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete. a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
It is.
Yes.
Shred documents?
Not only is it illegal, but it is illegal to even shred it, even if you haven't been convicted of a crime. But if you expect that you will be convicted of crime, you can retroactively get in trouble for destroying evidence in preparation for the conviction for a warrant.
Has finally arrived.
And that's even outside of federal regulation. That's just on a base citizen level.
It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this?
No, at least Hillary Clinton figured out how to get rid of a lot of it. That's the thing, is that they're dumber than Hillary Clinton.
4,
to the Department of
3,
Justice?
2,
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ for not to do that. So yes, we did.
Resistance has shown up in some very surprising places. So, for example, famous fork in the road email, the deferred resignation program. So this was a program where you could resign from the government, collect pay and benefits for the next 8 months. Probably the most attractive separation program ever in human history. And the resistance actually came from the outside, with people saying this is a trick. And I've heard somebody refer to it as apple with a razor blade. And no, this was just a really juicy apple, caramel dipped apple. It was that good, but people were talked out of taking it. And now what started to happen is we did about 80,000 people take it, and now those folks who did take it are beach, or they've moved on to a new job, and they're still getting paid. And so now we're starting to offer Fork 2 and Fork 3, where people can see that someone eaten this apple, and it was actually very tasty and good for them.
It's just getting started.
Because it's easier to do that than fire.
This is a long-term enterprise.
It's a long-term enterprise because if we take our eye off the ball, the weights of board will come roaring down.
It can go when Democrats get back in power.
Well, they just don't have any more elections, and that's not going to be a problem. Simple.
Yeah, well, I think some of the things that we're trying to have it be such that the funding is removed.
I am ready to put on a show.
There's a lot of work required to restart the waste.
There's nothing that they can do to stop them from doing it again. They broke the law to do it, and they broke the law. They'll break whatever law, whatever rule that you think they can put in there to make them not do it again. They will just ignore that rule the same as they ignored the existing rules to do what they're already doing. That's just, roaches find a way back in. Like, I tried to make sure raccoons don't get in my house. That's a lot harder than you think.
And that will at least slow it down.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page.
He's right that it'll slow it down. It won't stop it, but it will definitely slow it down.
I shall not be
This was so fucking funny. I'll go ahead. I'll play it, and you guys can listen to this. This was so fucking stupid. It's crazy.
That situation I talked about the other day with that DEI depending influencer who also like worked in
remember this girl.
Well, we've got a very amusing update on that situation. Also, a quick side note, it turns out Asmongold reacted to that video. That was pretty cool. Glad you enjoyed that one. So, really quick,
Only 60 seconds left.
Grace us with victory.
Get ready. Here come the bad guys.
That was me. That's me. Hey, he's talking about me. Oh.
what's the context? She made that said about the Discord. The Discord being gamers criticizing companies in gaming and also criticizing DEI consultation companies. All of that being something that, once again,
By the eye
a reasonable response and provided evidence. That's why members of that are just wrong. The rest of her was her devolving into just a prerogative.
It was her arguing with her. She was shadow boxing with her ex-boyfriend that goes to the gym. That was pretty much what this entire thread was. It started off as complaining and it turned into trauma dumping. That's just what happened.
That completely flopped because it really didn't answer what was being petty. And many people said that she just sounded like she was projecting. Yeah. It was unfortunately amusing seeing her go all rage mode, though. Provided some decent entertainment for the day. So yeah, that's just some very quick context for anyone who missed the prior segment. Although, of course, if you want to see my full take, consider watching that for yourself. But now, with that context, let's move on to the aforementioned update.
Okay.
We've got Thomas Mahler saying, "I'm the director behind both Ori games, and I don't know who you are."
This is the guy that directed the games. And so, because this girl's going around saying, like, oh, I worked on these games. And this is the guy that directed the games. He's like, wait.
The current score is
Really?
0-0.
Huh? What do you
Time to
mean?
switch things up, including
What
which
goes
side
who?
How
you're
you were
on.
affiliated with Ori?
Yeah.
In response to that Ray person
Open
saying,
your
"Hey,
eyes,
new folks,
Ray.
I'm Ray.
The
I
right
work in the
heroes
gaming
can
industry in
make all
UX
the
R&D plus
difference.
game production.
Open your
I worked on
eyes.
various software and hardware for
Reality is but
Xbox.
an
I now work as an independent media producer and had the privilege of working on the Dota Internationals 2023 and other gaming media projects." But importantly for this context, the bottom left image showing Ori.
Yeah.
Given the time.
And here's the thing, is that Thomas is right to ask about this because, like, I don't know how many times there have been, like, video games that have had, like, look at what happened with that Godot thing. Look at what happened with Helldivers with those Discord moderators. Look at what happened with, I think there's probably one more I can think of. But, like, some community manager acting weird or some person that works at the company acting like an asshole and then making it worse for everybody that works there. And so it's like you have these people that go on Twitter and they try
One
to
sorcerer
basically
to
use the
another.
fact that they worked
What's
on
the
a
source
game
of
or
your
supposedly worked on a game in this case as pretty much a way to like make themselves look more authoritative, like, oh, you should listen to me because I worked on this successful game. And so what that ends up doing is it ends up dragging that game into the controversy. It ends up turning that video game into part of the fight. And so, of course, he's going to be mad about this because she's dragging his IP into this in order to, like, make her, like, to talk about, like video game politics, right? Especially saying that she worked on the game. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's... And think about how many games that's happened to, and people have, like, a super negative opinion of the game. Like, oh, this is a woke game, like Concord, right? Or something else. There's been other games, too, that are like this, and people automatically have, like, a really bad sentiment of it. Why would you want that to happen?
Speaking of how he's saying this now, I can only presume he just recently saw her on his rant. Okay, so get this. As I'm looking at this conversation and recording this video, I see that she's actually just protected her entire Twitter account.
Good medicine.
Classic. Post an opinion online, be extremely hostile,
Maximum pulse.
and then when people don't like it, protect your account and act like a victim. There you go, guys.
So that's going to make covering this a little bit more complicated because it's also affecting the responses, and we're now unable to see them. However, I've got a tab that has not yet refreshed, so while we won't be able to see all of the responses, we can at least see some of them.
I am ready to put on a show.
Xbox users, I will hey, for a little publishing year 2018, this is real fire power! During my time, but got a better job opportunity on the Xbox community team.
So wait, this is another person that works as some sort of community manager that's like some unhinged psycho that's trying to, you know, get angry and use the company platform for them to talk about what they think? Oh my god. So she worked on Xbox user research?
You gotta be kidding me. Why do we see so many community managers or like
Exactly.
people who are some of the most unhinged and like angry at everything?
Well, here's the reason why. The reason why is because they want to tell other people what to do. And they're focused around talking to people and making people do what they want, which is going to make them naturally gravitate towards things like, for example, community management roles. That's the reason why.
Becoming a recurring theme. Anyways, that wasn't.
And also, it's people that like contribute no actual value to the product as well. So like these people aren't designers, they're not programmers, they're not artists, They're not anything. They're just community managers. I have a question for you. Do you ever at work feel Microsoft has shoved DEI expectations or pressured you? Microsoft.
Response that she made to him. Because there's also this one where she said, "Oh, I have a question for you. Do you ever at any point feel Microsoft has shoved DEI expectations at you or pressured you?" Now she's
How could they? So I wanted to make like a full thoughts video on this and talk about it, but I'll probably just watch this. So apparently, again, we've had competitive racism, and right now this woman has raised over $500,000. There's some people that are trying to donate money to Carmelo Anthony in order to like even the score, but she's already overtaken him. Yep, this is, yes, we have competitive ranked racism now, gentlemen.
So, something very interesting has happened in the United States, and I'm trying to think of a very delicate way of putting this.
Who am I gonna banish from this match?
But it seems, honestly, that just a lot of white people in America have just had enough of the way that they are treated and are expected to respond to ethnic minorities, in particular black people. Now, I want to be clear that I am
we've
not...
had like things are actually heating up. Like we're gearing up for like a race war a little bit, right? People popping off. Fair, you think? I think it depends on the person, right? Like I think that really the problem is that when a person is displaying and exhibiting antisocial bad behavior, that antisocial bad behavior is bad objectively regardless of their race. That's it. And so like the problem is when somebody observes or does antisocial bad behavior, like, you know, stealing or being violent or being rude or whatever, and then they're not treated
The right
like they
heroes
should.
could make all the difference.
Basically. In any way encouraging any kind of racial abuse. I do not agree that we should be racially abusing each other at all. But there is a racial angle to this issue and this story.
It's totally race related. It's not, there's not a racial angle to it. It's the whole thing.
And I can't properly talk about it without acknowledging that that's the case.
It absolutely is.
So this image is a still from a video that features a young lady, a young mother, called Shiloh Hendricks. Now, I'm not going to play the video because in it she repeatedly uses the N-word. Because an autistic 5-year-old boy apparently stole something out of her baby bag, and she, I guess, had just kind of snapped. She just kind of had it, and she started calling this boy the N-word. And this was recorded by a Somalian man who was, for some reason, loitering around the kids' park, which we'll get to in a minute. And she was just completely unrepentant. She was like, nope, I said what I said. I'm not going to apologize. I'm basically done with the way that these things keep happening. And I think this really resonated with a lot of people. That, one might
I think what resonates with a lot of people is that I think that it is an active, like, beyond it being just like, you know, there's like racist people that are donating. I think that there is a large amount of people that are tired of seeing cancel culture, where a person gets recorded getting mad about something, and then they systematically have their life destroyed by people on the internet with malicious
This is
the video and the publishing of her, like, for example, like publishing her real name, publishing her address. The only purpose that serves is to harass you. That's the only reason. There's no other reason for that to exist.
There's still a chance to stop them.
should provoke a national conversation in America about what the standards are for white people and black people, because they're not the same. And we have seen repeatedly standards for black people never be accepted for white people, and vice versa. And it's of course not in the white people's favor. And I think that I honestly think that part of the issues that people have with the black community stem from this about letting them do things that are just otherwise unacceptable in what is supposed to be an integrated into society.
Bad no matter who does it. And I think that's really the problem of what happens, is that when a person is engaging in social, abusive, violent behavior, there doesn't have to be a race component to this. And if you're defending it and like drawing excuses and making excuses for it because these people somehow, there's a Venn diagram with identity and, like you are in that Venn diagram with them, you're just excusing a person being a piece of shit.
By liberal standards. I think this drives the argument of separatist thought. Because, ultimately, why wouldn't you come to the conclusion that if you're being treated by one standard, another group of people being treated by another standard, and their standard is not only superior to your own, which is bad enough as it is, it also hurts your community. You can see why people would be bothered about that, and they wouldn't want to avoid this. Anyway, so the original
I actually think that the reason why this whole thing blew up and the Ghost Send Me, like the Ghost Send Joe, or the fuck it is, the reason why it blew up, it's obviously just because of the Carmelo Anthony thing. I think if the Carmelo Anthony fund hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened either. I feel like you needed one for the other to happen. It's kind of like one wrong thing deserves another. Everyone's tired of double standards. Yeah.
Maximum pulse!
This one, there's like really low defense. That like you can say that it's really bad for like and like yeah, it's super fucking trailer trash behavior to sit around and call like a 5-year-old kid the N-word. It's disgusting. But there is no use to stab somebody in the chest and kill them. There's not even like it's not even 1/100 of the problematic behavior. Who shouldn't stab him? Yeah, it's not 10 years old. Well, it doesn't matter. Even if it was an adult, it's still like you shouldn't say that to somebody. It's distasteful behavior. It's bad. It's distasteful. It's racist. I don't agree with it, right? And so yeah, but he stole from her. Yeah, but that's also bad. Like, the thing is, like, you can do two bad things, right? Like, he's a piece of shit and she's a piece of shit. If you're 10 years old and you're stealing people out of other people's, stealing things out of other people's bags, you're a piece of shit kid. You are. And you probably have piece of shit parents, too.
Top Korean says, yeah, fair enough, because during LA riots, he was guarding the shop roof while black people rioted and burned down and beat to death some white people because of hate.
Maximum!
Like I said, this can only go on forever, for so long. People can start really resentful. Now, the chap who was filming was apparently an accused sex offender from Somalia. He was, he and someone else will appear in courts on May the 5th after being accused of raping a 16-year-old offering her a place to stay.
That's a lot. Much better.
Right. So,
that's a whole lot.
The accused pedophile is wandering around a kid's playtime filming this.
Whatever you find. I feel like that shouldn't happen. Yep.
Why is he there exactly? That strikes me as a bit weird, especially as in his defense, he says, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Someone says, why did you say anything because you're picking up at
Oh, this guy is a retard. He's responding about his pending court case on Instagram? Much better. Oh, no. Yeah, he going to jail for sure. He done.
She ran away from home after he brought her back to the house and accused her of raping her. And he says when she went back to her foster home, she wanted to play the victim card so attention could not get in trouble. She later said that
so attention could not get into trouble. Okay.
Now, I bet it's about it. Because frankly, he's another young man. What are you doing grooming 16-year-olds?
inch, or else.
Why were you in contact with the 16-year-old Nathan? Why is this even much better? Because it's like, so if the debate is about whether the rape is and take a step back, why are you doing it? I don't know. You want to make your cupcakes?
Just saying, in my country you have some experience. Older foreign men being spend all the time teenage girls. Volna, foster, this. Hardly respectful gentleman. So anyway, why this huge sex is hanging around at this park is
The current
a question I don't have an answer for.
0,
I do.
2, 3. Time to switch things up, including which side you're on.
But anyway, so after this, Shiloh Hendrix started a give, send, go.
Right.
You'll need a
Because she
top-notch team
wanted
to
to help
win
protect
this
her
one.
family. Because as she says, we've been into a dire situation. I recently had a kid steal from my 18-month-old son's diaper bag at a park. I called the kid out for what he was. Another man who recently found has a history in law enforcement proceeded to follow me and record me and follow me to my car. He then posted these videos online, which caused my family and myself great turmoil. She got doxxed. A lot of her stuff has been circulated online apparently. And she's got problems. And so she created a fundraiser. Initially it was for $20,000. Then sailed past that, so then it was $250,000. And now she's raised it to $1 million, and she's on
30 seconds before you
$350,000.
attack. Get ready.
558,000.
Yet again. But is all
Little correction there. Editor's note. Yeah, it's even more.
I'm never coming anywhere.
Which is remarkable,
You can count on that.
because this story seems to have caught the attention of
The battle starts in 5.
the white
4,
separatist Twitter,
3, 2,
and they have decided that no, they are going to use this in the way
Get that vehicle to its
the community
destination.
uses their fundraisers. And I think that this sort of West
See?
Hill
Exactly what I said. It's exactly what I said. An equal and opposite reaction. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it.
is correct. What is happening right now is basically a Texas race war. This coming so quickly after Carmelo Anthony incident.
That's what it is.
And the manifest injustice that came from that. And I can see why a lot of people like it. Of course. Against other Austin members were allowed to be
Of
killed.
course, because the only reason why people were donating to Carmelo Anthony was because of race. If you read all the comments, 80% of the comments had some sort of allusion to race politics. The entire reason why it was a story was because the different races. That was bad. It was very bad. Wouldn't this be a reaction to that? Well, no, because he's a white guy that killed other white guys. The thing is that there are a lot of bad actors that are both white and black that use, like, you know, like that roach that attaches himself to Carmelo Anthony's family, who beat up a toddler, who stole a car, who was in jail. Like, this guy was playing Grand Theft Auto for the last 10 years, and then he just decided to be a minister, and now he's helping a kid that stabbed another kid in the heart. And so, like, yeah, absolute fucking roach. And so this guy, you know, maybe Game recognized Game, and this guy is simply another version of an opportunist. And it radicalizes a lot of people when you have guys like that get involved in these causes and they weaponize them to make themselves look good.
Hello, my name's
And
Green
a lot of
and it
people
makes
are
me sad
saying
when
things like
people
no more
don't
white guilt, no more white shame. This is the only way forward. Why should they have to live with this kind of burden?
They don't look friendly.
And you can see that actually a lot of it is
I think that there is a level problem in America where antisocial, mentally ill, obnoxious, annoying behavior is considered acceptable in general. Like, for example, like that woman who was like crashing out, people that are scratching things on Tesla in general. I think that we need to have more public accountability and a higher degree of public decorum, because I don't want to live in a PvP server. I don't want to have to deal with servers being violent or loud or obnoxious. Like, why is it that everybody else in the world has to live in a place that is created and made worse by a, like, really, like, what percentage of people are really causing this problem?
No complaints.
Like, the moon haunts you. 3% of these numbers are causing all of this problem.
This is real firepower!
You shall not be harmed.
I'll patch you up.
I know what you're doing. Everybody knows what you're doing. Well, not everybody. I do. Not all black people act like this either. It's also not in black people's best interest that this happens either.
Don't turn back now.
It's not. It's bad for everyone. And I hate how people constantly keep making excuses for antisocial destructive behavior, which is what's happening.
Just self-love. Right? Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it, they aren't saying we hate black people. They're saying we like white people, which is quite different to what was going on there. So we'll get to that later. She's been awful, even though I'm sure that what she's done in America isn't crime, because of within reason. And it's interesting that Gibson Go decided to wipe the comments on Carmelo. So, for example, if you go to his, where he raised $500,000 for murdering a young lad, who was white,
allegedly,
totally unreasonable.
Free my boy
opinion,
Carmelo. He didn't do
barbaric,
nothing,
frankly, and brutal. And the comments are all gone. You don't get to see very interesting. As Callum has pointed out, Carmelo's mentioned the comments that went along with it were anti-white hate.
What? That sounds really bad. Yeah, this is great. The Carmelo.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Like 5 minutes.
Hatred. I mean, death to the white man, which worse can it get? Whereas with hers, it's, you know, good luck. I hope you're okay. The tone is so obviously different.
Only 60
I would disagree with this point. I think that both of the tones, I mean, guys, they were literally spelling it in the top donation.
This is real!
Come on. They're fucking racist. Like, what are we doing here? It's obvious spelling what? I don't know.
If you're upset with 5 years worth of supporting George Floyd, supporting Charlotte Edwards, really not going to come out. Yeah, well, I mean, people, I think, are really annoyed. I mean, this is just...
I think people were disgusted at the blatant, obvious injustice of a kid stabbing another kid with a knife and then raising $500,000 as if this is somehow somebody that just got caught on the wrong side of the road.
Final 10 seconds.
People were so, and the problem is that there's nothing that radicalizes people more than double standards and unfairness. People are and you're not going to gaslight
It's not acceptable that justice is denied when the races are of a certain tone, when the races are of a certain kind. It's just not acceptable. And the black community is not happy about this. For example, let's have a listen to this.
And you guys raised $250,000 for her? I am beyond disturbed. White people should not be forced to live among monkeys. Black for just...
Oh my God. Get off the internet. Really, for your own mental health, get off the fucking internet. If you're almost gonna get emotional over a comment, And also, by the way, this is also most likely performative because she recorded herself. She could have re-recorded this if she got it emotional. So she either did it and she wanted it to be in there, or she faked it. Either way, this wasn't unintentional, okay? Anyway, get off the fucking internet. There's people that are racist on the internet. This isn't new.
Is getting pretty tiring. Sometimes to be accurate, you have to use unpleasant speech. White advocacy. I want to say that I'm shocked.
Why? You're shocked that people are racist? What the hell are you talking about? I guarantee you, if you had a conversation with this woman about Donald Trump or 50 other topics, the police, she'd be talking about how America's racist, everybody's racist, everybody's racist. So what is it? So you think everybody's racist? So were you lying then, or are you lying now? It's just so stupid.
But I'm not shocked, I'm angry.
Okay. I mean, again, I'm sorry, but this man...
Do you think people were angry about this? People were really angry about this. Absolutely.
Murdered someone. This man obviously went looking for trouble.
Where's her video about this? And this is a good question, right? This is the problem that I think a lot of people have. Where is the video? I saw there was this one guy. I actually commented on this today, or it was actually yesterday on Twitter. I'll pull it up real quick and we'll look at it. And so this guy right here, Brian Krasenstein, he's a notorious retard on Twitter. And he's complaining, please share and tag GiveSendGo. They're a Christian crowdfunding platform. You don't give a fuck about Christianity. You're just trying to use people's religion against them to subvert their goals. That's all you're doing. You don't care about the religion. You're just using it against them to make them try to listen to you. And so I said this. I was like, pathetic Karen, can I speak to the manager behavior? Where was this tweet when Carmelo Anthony GiveSendGo hit 500K? In what universe is calling someone a word worse than stabbing someone in the chest with a knife and killing them? Both or neither should be removed. So I have literally no sympathy, and I'm not willing to listen or have any sort of credibility given to a person who's complaining about this new GiveSendGo if they do not have documented evidence complaining about this one too. I don't. That's it. And why should I? It's obviously fucking biased. He made his day with the engagement fee. Good job. Maybe he can have enough money to buy Starbucks.
And murdered someone. And in response, he raised $500,000 with many comments like this, whereas she said a word.
Well, there's bad actors on both sides. There's people that are racist on both donation pages. It's obvious. Like, I mean, fuck, you could just see that. You could see that instantly.
Don't get me wrong, I don't think that she should be calling a 5-year-old child the N-word.
It's disgusting.
But a 5-year-old child often is not not very well served.
Any 5-year-old that's doing something like that, it's probably a result of bad parenting.
Socialized. A lot of the time they do things that they shouldn't do, and sometimes they do things they know they shouldn't do, and they do them anyway. Trust me, I know. So I don't think that her response was in isolation reasonable, and I don't think she should have done it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to condemn people who, in a wider context, understand that there's something greater going on here. Again,
no, it's the double standard is the problem. That's why people are angry. They're angry about the double standard that you can raise $500,000 for a murderer, but you can't raise $500,000 for a word. There's no universe where that makes sense.
Like, sorry.
That's it.
It was just speech.
And again, these people, like, if you go back and you watch my video about Carmelo Anthony, I said their Carmelo Anthony thing was stupid and bad. I don't think I ever said they had to shut it down or they should shut it down. I think maybe I did. But I said that the GoFundMe should have been shut down because it was against the TOS. But I didn't really care about people raising money. They're just going to find ways to get money anyway. So, like, I was actually one of the only people that was consistent about this. Where, like, both of these are bad and both of these are destructive. But you can't, the thing is that I'm not going to harbor a unique energy for one and not the other. Either they're both bad or neither are bad. And if you're only expressing that one is bad, you don't care about racism, you care about winning.
This was a murder, and it's hardly unique. It's hardly alone in the dynamics of it. And man, there were loads and loads and loads of people like this. There was a thread, in fact, of it. Where have I got? Yeah, there we go. There's just a thread of them. Furious, absolutely furious, and trying to get her deplatformed from GiveSendGo.
Well, this is what they do. This isn't a race thing, but this is just what people like this do. Is that because they can't win in the free marketplace of ideas, and they have people that disagree with them, instead of trying to approach and listen to the people that disagree with them and beat them in that free marketplace of ideas, they have to deplatform and destroy them systematically to prevent them from being able to express themselves. That's what happens. I commented about you under this video earlier, calling you a fence sitter. I'm not a fence sitter. I've made my opinion on this extremely clear. It's just not true.
Time of recording have not deplatformed her.
Well, actually, let me you're too moderate. Let me ask you right now, if I can find it. Where the hell did it go? If I can find this person's comment, and I'll see why you said I was a fence sitter. Yeah, okay. So Burger, why am I a fence sitter? What about me what about what I'm saying here is fence sitter behavior? I said that you were calling both funding bad. Do you think that one funding is... Do you think that one of them is good? Let's move on.
So honestly, I mean, like I said, I don't agree with what she's done, but I can understand that she probably doesn't have a huge amount of money.
Well, no, it's fucking retarded. You really think that she should be deplatformed, but not the kid that stabbed somebody with a fucking knife? Under what universe should she be deplatformed, but not him? It's crazy. This is, you know what, it's actually kind of funny, because this is the exact same problem that Twitch has. In what universe does Tectone get banned for calling Frogan fat, but Frogan doesn't get banned for calling Ludwig a cracker? Well, I'll tell you the universe. A racist, biased, unfair one. That's why it happened.
He lives in a rough area.
Both or neither. I will never respect rules that are not applied evenly. Because they're not rules. And neither should you. You should not listen to, respect, or care about anybody's opinion if they're not applying what they believe in a consistent manner. Because they obviously then they don't believe it.
And why else would you be at a park where Somali accused sex offenders of prowling? And sorry, this is just too damn bad.
Yeah.
Just too damn bad. I mean, again, if the standard wasn't so evidently set by this community, then maybe I would have more of a problem.
I also want to make one thing clear. I've said this multiple times. I'll say it again. I think that this is a subset of a subset of a subset of a community. I don't think that the people supporting Carmelo Anthony are in any way representative of black people as a whole. And I think no one is, because each person is an individual. And you shouldn't give collective guilt or collective innocence to any group of people based off of an immutable characteristic that they can't control. I think that's disgusting. The fact is, there's a lot of black people out there that see this and find it to be just as distasteful as you do. In the same way that people like me, I see the donations to this girl, and I also find them to be very distasteful also. This is the way that normal people think. If you go to Walmart and you show this to 50 people, most people are going to say, damn, that's fucked up. This entire premise that this is some kind of really big issue is created by a small minority of radicalized freaks on the internet. Again, keep in mind, the person who was pushing Carmelo Anthony the hardest had a rap sheet that would have gotten him 5 stars in Grand Theft Auto. Absolute parasite, fucking piece of shit person. Honestly, I don't know how he's not still in jail. In my opinion, if I see somebody with that many arrests and that many charges, you should just be in jail for the rest of your life. Bro, you've had enough chances. What are we doing? He's still out? Yeah.
We didn't see this repeatedly, and this is not the first time. There have been many others. The George Floyd fundraisers, again, eye-opening, absolutely eye-opening. The level of resentment many people in the black community hold towards the white community, even though...
I don't agree with his comparison to George Floyd. I think that it's a very big difference whenever it's a police officer with qualified immunity that's exercising something that people perceive to be racially motivated. I think that's a very, very big difference. Obviously, I think that it's kind of it's a matter of dominoes, and I think that the George Floyd thing was a domino that led to this, but I don't find it to be equivalent.
I don't think the white community in America deserves it at all. You know, insanely tolerant people generally, and what they're upset about is a lack of tolerance. People have decided that, no, we're just going to speak out against what you're doing.
There should be no tolerance for antisocial, abusive, loud, thievery behavior in public, regardless of who's doing it. The people who do it should be immediately arrested, and the biggest victims of it are the people that are in the community that it's happening in. That's it. You're hurting them the most by not holding these people accountable.
And it's driving them mad. How dare you? Well, I mean, how dare you? And so people are pointing out this, and I'm just going to read this from Chad Crowley because I think it does accurately summarize why Shiloh was able to raise so far $750,000. For years, the pattern was held. A white person makes a comment, sometimes crude, sometimes merely unfashionable. The video is clipped, stripped of context, and cast into the digital coliseum.
There's no real context that would make this good.
Crowd demands penance, docks and calls, then come sponsors, employees, the journalists.
I also don't think that this is uniquely a white person thing. I think that this is a cancel culture thing. But if you replace this when a person makes a comment, I don't think that this is exclusive to white people. It's something that happens overall. And I do think that a lot of people that are supporting and donating to this, it is effectively a protest on cancel culture in itself. It's like irrespective of race for some people.
It's always the same. Apology, groveling, ruin. This is not justice, it never was. It is a moral spectacle, basically. Purification ritual for the postmodern West. But the cleansing agent is white submission. The apology is not meant to be accepted, but to affirm the guilt of the group. The goal is not reconciliation, but re-education, humiliation, and silence. Also catharsis for the black community. But this time, it was the case of Shiloh Hendricks, the script cracked. Her personal details were posted, she received death threats, her children were targeted, and yet she did not capitulate. She did not appear on camera with a quivering voice and downcast eyes. She launched the fundraiser, and white people responded. Not the media, not the institutions, not the credential class, but ordinary white people. Tens of thousands poured in to support her.
And I also want to say that I think that the long-term effects of this, like as somebody who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, where identity politics was not the first and foremost thing that was discussed and considered, and everybody could be super excited to watch a movie about a black guy and a Chinese guy, solving crimes together with Rush Hour. And white families would be super excited to take their kids there. I watched it in movie theaters myself. Like, I remember when this wasn't as big of a deal. I do not think that a resurgence of race awareness and race solidarity is a net positive for the society. I think it's actually a very big net negative. But the reality is that you can't just get mad at one group for expressing race solidarity. It's either all bad or it's all good. You can't make selective judgments on it. Good times? Yeah, no. And the thing is, like, a lot of you guys are around my age, right? You remember the golden age, right? The good days. This doesn't get us closer to the good days at all, which is what's sad. but it's inevitable considering what's already happened.
Platform, Give Sengo, not GoFundMe, which obviously bans these things, reported over 250,000 raised in days. These were not donations, these were the stirrings of something new. Each dollar said, we see what you're doing and we are done pretending.
Yeah.
This is more than the defense of one woman, this is a rejection of the moral framework that made her a target. The Hendricks affair is not the first of its kind, but it is one of the first to end differently. No apology, no resignation, no collapse, instead resistance. And more than anything else, that signals a shift. Ritual is breaking, and with it the spell of white guilt. And this, I am genuinely annoyed. I mean, I'm just furious, frankly, at the way that, what's his face is, the stab man's father was treated. Right, it's just genuinely awful, because he was contrite over this Carmelo murdering his son, as anyone could possibly have been. I mean, he was openly forgiving. Like his mother, you know, the lad's mother was just like, I don't want to forgive. And I tell you what, if it was one of my sons, I wouldn't forgive either. But he did everything he could according to the script. Did everything he could, everything he thought he was supposed to do, and he wasn't accepted by the black community. He wasn't. They didn't say we're sorry. They didn't. The family of Carmelo didn't say I'm sorry. We stole your son. Forever. And so yeah, people are glad to see.
Yeah, people are really mad at this guy for just basically accepting that it happened. That's true.
I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not having this. And so yeah, I mean, I can't bring myself to condemn this. I'm not, like I said, I don't endorse it at all. I don't think you should be calling anyone the N-word. I don't think that calling children slurs is a good idea either. And honestly, I think
obviously not a good idea to call little kids slurs. Like, unless you're on Xbox Live. Then it's mandatory.
The current moral lock that one community has on another in the United States is just wrong. It's just wrong. The same standard should be applied to both. Like, Carmelo should not have been allowed to raise $500,000 on the back of "we hate white people, death to white people." That shouldn't.
I think he should have. People have freedom of association. It's their money. They should be able to do whatever the fuck they want with their money. I agree with it. I think it's totally fine for him to have a fundraiser. I do. This is the United States of America. It's lawful but awful. Yeah.
Not be permitted. And you should
fundraise for terrorism? No. No, that's different.
Expect some kind of response if that is permitted. Because you're setting the rules of the game as black people can do what they want, and if they do something terrible to you, they can raise huge amounts of money, and white people just have to accept that. And that's not fair, and nobody's going to accept it.
Yeah, people are. That's shit. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's really what I think is going to happen. Is people are not accepting it, regardless of whether you think they should or not. They're just not accepting it. They're not putting up with it. Somebody says, "How is it different?" Well, number one, so like, let's make a direct comparison. If a terrorist was put in jail, like let's say Luigi, I think Luigi's a good example, maybe. If you are giving money to a legal defense for Luigi, I think that you have every constitutional right to do that. I also have my constitutional right to call you a retard. But both of these things can cancel each other out. Because Luigi was a terrorist, he was a terrorist. And so like that's a direct comparison, I would say. Sir versus Terran? Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like, again, these kinds of things are not really good for anybody. And I think that the end result for this, like Sargon, like I agree with some of the things that he was saying. Some of the other things, like maybe not really so much. But I do think that this is definitely it's a turning point. And I think that it's going to be, and I've said this before, right? I said this like years ago even, that when people actually start playing the race games, it will be bad for everyone. Everyone will lose when everybody starts playing race games. And now it's happening all over the place. It's happening constantly. So yeah, Luigi was terrorist fighting for a cause that I kind of agree with. Listen, the thing is though, like there are oftentimes people get shot for things that I'm like Rip Bozo for. Like I'll tell you that I just say it myself. Like, sometimes people get shot for some bullshit, and I'm like, yep, there it is. But, like, it doesn't mean that you can't just let it happen, right? I mean, so true. Yeah, 100%, man. Don't you think she was lucky that there was no other man there? I know some place you say this, you'll be on the ground really quick, beaten to death. Like, so if somebody, like, punched her or, like, hit her for, like, saying the N-word? I feel like if that had happened, it would have been an even worse and even bigger response than it was. Like, if there was, like, you're talking about, like, theoretically, like, if some black person was there and they heard her say that, or somebody who was offended was there and they heard her say that, and they beat her up for saying that, I actually think that it would have been probably 10 times the negative response, and it would have been 10 times worse than what it was. Over a word? Yeah, if you're hitting somebody over a word, you need to go to jail. Like, that's just the way it is. You just can't have that happen. And so, yeah, 10 times the money. Yeah, they would have. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I at that point, I might have donated. Like, hitting somebody and beating somebody over a word, that's outrageous. If you're hitting somebody, needs to go to jail. Yeah, exactly. And I think this is kind of like the point that I was making, is that there's been like an ongoing like movement, I think, to allow socially unacceptable, antisocial, obnoxious, rude behavior to just be normalized in public. And I think that we actively need to work against that. Like, you know, people yelling in public, people that are like going in there with a speakerphone in an area. Like, we need to normalize telling these people, get the fuck off the train, get the fuck out of the building, you know, get off your phone when you're ordering, stop acting this way. It's not normal and it's not okay. I think we really need to really need to rationalize that, or normalize, excuse me. So apparently, Big Balls has been exposed. Let's see him.
Here's the interview with Elon Musk and the rest of the Doge crew. We finally asked the one question on our mind. Who's Big Balls?
That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Well,
there he is. Yep, everybody was reporting on him, having opinions on him, everything like that. Yep. There he is, and he's right there at the White House. This guy is the executioner of these fucking federal government 20-year bad performance garbage employees. He is their reckoning.
People on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously.
Yeah.
And they're pretty adverse to risk.
Exactly. You want to know who takes themselves super seriously? A bunch of tone policing Karens. A bunch of annoying, obnoxious, tone policing Karens that complain about everything. That age is over. We are sick of those annoying fucking people ruining our fun.
And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things.
Yeah.
So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
And you can see, by the way, it is a total fucking sausage fest. It is all guys. This is the age of the chuds. That's right. We're here. Right now. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to hope for it. It's happened.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
And the best part about this now is that guys can finally make stupid jokes like this, and it doesn't matter anymore. Oh, I'm so glad.
What does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste.
Yeah.
And to do that, we started looking at payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, like, there is no accounting of what payments actually go to the payment
Why?
computer. So, like, you look at a specific line item, like $20 million. You're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know. And
yeah, they're like, what?
In my opinion, I think that if you don't really know where that payment went to, can you at least figure out who made the payment and who authorized it, and then audit that person and their close friends? Because that's what you should do. You should pull their tax returns and figure out where that money's going. Because I think you can reverse engineer this. Great idea. Seems simple enough. Yeah, I mean, as I said, they could pay me, bro. Any scam, any bullshit for like, there's some of the new ones that I don't know, but I know the guys that do know them. And so I could figure it out.
That would be the response.
Is this the most basic responses?
Yeah. That's the most common response.
What do you say when people just say, I don't know?
Well, it's a huge cause for concern because, like, the upstream thing, which is distributing the money, literally has no checks and no accountability to the actual American taxpayer. So it's a huge vector for fraud, waste, and abuse.
Do these people not respect taxpayer money?
Bro, Jesse's asking, like, bro, this is the most leading question that I've ever seen in my entire life.
I mean, there's no incentive to if you work in the government. I think the incentives will always decide the outcomes.
Yes.
Do you guys feel like you're putting yourself at risk by doing this because you're
100%.
stirring up so much hostility by these people ripping us off?
100%.
Yeah, of course.
Well, we don't need to speculate about that. You can see online in the protests.
Is a bunch of hoes mad? No, you can see that immediately. It's so easy to find out.
But to make that very clear, I mean, I've been hanged in effigy many times.
Yes.
And there have been people that have actively advocated at these violent protests for my death, and have also advocated for the death of
they would have all...
the people at Doge.
Exactly. Yeah, he was going to say it. Yeah, they dox them. They spread around their information. They were doing everything. And keep in mind, there is only one reason to spread a person's personal information. It's to make them afraid for their life that somebody might take that information and act on it in a way that could directly jeopardize their life. That's the reason why. That's the only reason for doing it. It's to intimidate and theoretically put somebody's life in danger.
I think the young folks of us have gotten hate mail, threats from reporters and the public alike. I think, speaking for myself, I dropped...
Post them. Post them. If you've received a threat from a reporter, post it. Show it.
Out of Harvard and came here to serve my country, and it's been unfortunate to see, you know.
And by the way, not only would I post it, I'd audit the report. I would. Why are you so unhappy about this money being discovered? Well, let's find out.
Lost friendships. Most of campus hates me now. But I think fundamentally, I hope people realize through conversations like this that reform is genuinely needed. And
the Doge member dropped out of Harvard.
If there's one, I think this is important to say, if there's one group of people who really have a shot of success, it's the people here. You know, they're up until 2 a.m. Monday through Sunday. Doge does not recognize weekends. We're working all the time.
What inspired you to drop out of Harvard to do this?
Because you've grown up your entire life just like every other kid, and you've seen your entire country be sold out for foreign interests, foreign wars, and foreign companies. And you're finally fucking tired of it. And you're a goddamn American, and it's time to start acting like it. That's why.
You know, there's a lot of reform that's needed. I think the value of this and the impact here is so much more vast than anything you could learn in a classroom doing computer science.
It's a good point, too.
And you guys are sleeping here, I'm hearing.
Yeah, sure.
You guys are up all night. You have this meeting at 10 o'clock every Wednesday?
We'll probably go back to work right after this.
Yeah.
You're going back to work after this?
Yes.
Right.
It's almost 11 o'clock.
So that's early.
It's early? Can I go to bed?
Yeah, I mean, bro, like, were you never in, like, college? Yeah, 11 o'clock is early. Yeah, these guys probably go to bed at, like, 4 or 5 in the morning. They sleep till noon. They get up. They probably DoorDash McDonald's to the White House, and then they keep going. That's what you do. Yeah.
It's an incredible work ethic. You guys should be really, really proud of yourself. Do good people come up to you and say thank you for doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. There are people in the State Department that will stop you, or all of the agencies that we've been